tweet. So I don't know. I don't know what the best way would have been to do that. I think the best way would have been just to release it when you originally said you were going to release it and not change it the day before.
That makes too much sense.
I'm good to go.
All right, here we go. I am going to hit the record button. We're going to have a couple seconds of silence because my heater is going to turn on, and I'm going to have to drown that noise out. So I'm going to hit the button, and then you guys will hear the intro. Ready?
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins, and let's drop in.
Welcome, Freelancers, to episode 73 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest-running Anthem podcast on the internet. I am your host, Steve, and I am here with my three co-hosts, Michael, Devon, and JD. Guys, what is going on today? The day before... Wait a second. No, Anthem is supposed to be out today. Did I miss this? We could be playing Anthem right now?
That was just EA problem. That was the Origin mess up. Don't worry about it.
Oh, Steve.
It was just like that for a couple months, but this was...
Because I was like saving, like I'm gonna play after the show. I don't want to be spoiled. We're gonna do the show, and then I'm gonna go play. So you're telling me I cannot play the game right now? Is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
That sucks, real bad.
So, well, these things happen.
I don't know if these things happen all the time, but welcome, Freelancers, to the Freelancer Codex podcast. This is episode 73. This was supposed to be the day of the release of Origin Access Premiere, but that has changed. We heard yesterday during the live stream with Ben and Chad when they were talking about a lot of balance changes. They were talking about quality of life improvements to the game, and they also dropped that little detail that the game is not going to be releasing today. It's actually going to be releasing tomorrow, which just kind of sucks for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it does. But what can you do about it, right?
I'm going to tell you what you can do about it.
It does stink, but get over it, right? Like, we're gonna play. It's gonna be awesome. It's not gonna change anything. Like, power through.
I understand.
Half empty.
I understand that sentiment, but I also understand that a lot of people took today off to get in and play the game, which kind of sucks for those people. Like, I understand the frustration
schedules.
there, and I know a lot of people would be like, well, get over it. It's just a video game. Well, it's like, I don't think it's any different from like someone taking the time off to go see a concert or going to go, watch a sports game or anything like that. I mean, this is people's hobbies. This is what they do. This is the thing that they enjoy, and taking that time off when, like you said before, Devon, I mean, the time has been set on Origin Access for months that's when the game was going to release.
Yep.
I don't know how you miss something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get it.
It's been tweeted to him. It's been talked about. It's been on Reddit. It's been on Twitter. It's been everywhere. Talked about multiple places. They tweeted it out even, of when you could start playing and all this stuff. And there was a confusion. No apology, but confusion.
And I guess I don't understand. Like, I don't think there was confusion. I think we all knew when the game was going to come out. The confusion wasn't on the consumer end. It was on the back end. So
yeah.
I don't know. It sucks. Like, I know a lot of people are being like, calm down. It's fine. It's like, I don't know. I don't think, first of all, I'm not going to tell anyone to calm down. You feel what you're going to feel. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. But for me, like, it's pretty disappointing. It's a really weird thing to happen leading up to the release of your game. A lot of people, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts in the lead up to Anthem, talking about Anthem. And one of the main things a lot of people talk about is they make fun of the game for how confusing it is to, like, which edition you're going to get the game and when you're actually going to be able to play the game. Like, if you get Origin Access on Xbox, then you get 10 hours on this day. Or if you get Legion of Dawn, you get it here. Or if you get it on Origin Access Premiere, you get it here on this day. And I was like, come on, guys, it's really not that confusing. It's not that big of a deal. But then they go and change, like, the whole day, like the day before, they kick it back a day. And I'm like, yeah, I can, defending it before is fine. But, like, I don't know if I can defend this decision because I don't even know what there is to defend against. I mean, it's just a really weird thing to happen the day before.
I mean, there have been two things that I like. Not even I can defend in regards. Well, I can't even defend BioWare. in this case, because there's two things that they really messed up on, at least in the back half of their marketing, and that was one, like just the utter confusion surrounding, like, they had so many, like, release dates, and like that is a very legitimate point, that the release dates were confusing. And then there was also just the whole thing that, out of all the things they chose to keep secret, right up until the very end, which, as of recording this right now, they still have not given us any indication of what the actual microtransaction prices are going to look like. It's all just up in the air. And in an otherwise transparent marketing campaign, I feel like that's a very sketchy detail to leave. Like, it does not have good optics. Like, I can't defend how that looks.
I agree.
It seems duplicitous.
Yeah, and I don't know why they just don't send out a tweet or put out a blog post saying, hey, these are... I guess one thing, we also don't know if, like, cosmetics have a rarity attached to them. I'm guessing if they do, like every other game that's out there, there's rarities attached to these things, so they're going to be differently priced. But we haven't seen that yet, and I don't know exactly why that is. Like you were saying, JD, just tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they don't want to, like, give any numbers because they might change later, but the earliest access version of the game comes out tomorrow. Like, if they don't know what they're going to be charging until, like, by now, I wow, like, what kind of stuff is happening over there if they don't know what the prices are? They could have given us, like, a ballpark estimate like a week ago, and I think that would have, like, alleviated some people's fears. But the fact that they played it so close to their chest in an otherwise very transparent marketing campaign, it looks bad.
And Rusted's right in the chat. He says that we're going to find out tomorrow, but it's just weird to wait that long. And when you think about Apex and how Apex released with very little information. There was a small leak, then a bunch of streamers got onto it, and then they're running with it. Like, the first couple of weeks were super impressive, great numbers, all this stuff was going for it, and you didn't really hear much about the cost of the cosmetics. Until recently, there's a post talking about, how long does it really take to earn a cosmetic compared to how much money you actually have to put into it. So maybe they're just saying, we'll put it out there, we'll ride the wave of the game being released, and hopefully it'll get good reviews, and people will really enjoy it, and they won't really talk about the cosmetic issue until after, that the honeymoon period is done, I guess. So maybe that's what they're going for. They're just going to say, let's let it ride, and then we'll deal with the situation later. But I don't know if that's the best way to do it either. It's just it just feels weird. So that's all I have to say on that. Mike, do you have... Go ahead, Devon.
There's a lot of stuff that they could do. I mean, we kind of talked about it, like 2 weeks ago when we were basically like, or was it maybe even last week, where it's like they should really just stop talking about it and just let it rest for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just let it rest. Stop answering all the same questions on Twitter. Stop, it's like, just give it a rest. Give yourselves a rest. Focus on getting the game out. And, they could do a blog post with pertinent information, but they want to keep going. The problem is they keep going and they keep stumbling, which is fine. Is hopefully they're learning from every live stream and all the stuff, as they're like, okay, we really need to focus on this. And if they don't have someone who is officially, like, their whole job should be like, okay, this is when we launch, and make sure everything says that, because obviously they need that, at least somewhere, if it's community manager's problem or something, somebody needs to be focused on getting the correct information out there, and not, there's so many people that are saying so many different things. They didn't even know what's in the game, what's not in the game, what's in this launch, what's in the February 22nd launch. They changed blueprints to something else, and is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called.
Right.
It's confusing, and they're so open, but when they're too open and they don't understand or they don't know the right answers, they shouldn't talk about it.
Do you think, though, if they were to do that, we would just feel like, oh, they're not telling us anything? Because they would end up, if they don't know and they say, oh, we can't talk about that, you give the answer of, oh, we have nothing to say about that at this time, because we as gamers don't like that either.
Yeah.
Because then we feel like they're not telling us enough. Like like Alterian X says in the chat, it says damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
Well, and I think
yeah.
it was, sorry, Devin. I think it was episode 2 or 3 where we spoke a lot about balance, and I think it applies here also. I mean, when we were speculating about the game, what it was going to be, what was it going to have, and this is early, so we had no idea what was going on. The thing that we always kept coming back to was balance, and I think in this case, it holds true for info coming out. Just balance. There have been great streams put out by our Anthem developers where we got to see brand new gameplay. We got to see Ben talking about it, and it was great and it was awesome. We loved it. And then there have been some that, like this previous one, again, I don't want to beat anything up or beat anybody up, but this one felt rushed. It felt discombobulated.
Last minute.
It felt last minute. It felt off. And again, I've got to assume that everybody is just cramming to get to launch tomorrow, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe it had to be pushed back because the store wasn't set up. Maybe that they're waiting to put not waiting to put them in, but setting prices, and it wasn't set up yet. So it wasn't ready today at 3:00, which is when I was, planning on playing today, and it got pushed back. So we don't know why it got pushed back. We just know that it did. It sucks. I think we want to say that there's a good reason behind it.
I would hope so.
And I hope there's a good reason behind it. It's not, I don't think it's going to prevent me from jumping in as soon as I can, barring any loading issues. So I'm going to go ahead and just, give them a pass on this one. Not that anybody cares what I say, but I'm going to go ahead and just, try to be positive about it and go through it. And again, who knows why it happened, but
I definitely think it's better that it happened to the Origin Access premiere than the actual release of the game.
Yeah,
I would agree. I would agree with that, because that's a huge player base versus just everybody who is going on Origin Access. And so not that we're any less important or we're less forgiving, or maybe we are more forgiving being part of the.
I think it's just because we're more committed by buying into the Origin Access premiere.
Right.
Right. So it's like, well, you're getting it as a subscriber, and I mean it definitely, I had to take a breather, after that, and like I said, I couldn't watch the rest of the stream. I was just kind of really frustrated. It's just, super excited to play it today, and then it's like, nope, just kidding. And it's like, I know it's only like 17 hours difference or whatever, but that's.
But for Devon, that's taking 2 characters all the way through the crit path.
That was, rough. It was rough for me. It's been a long couple weeks in my life, all right?
Yeah.
and you were looking forward to it. You were looking forward to sitting down and jumping in a javelin. But you can't, unless we had Marty McFly with us, we could go back in time and fix it. But it wouldn't change anything because
I will say that we are in, like, the 4 of us are in a very interesting position in terms of overall commitment to this game that hasn't come out yet, because I don't think we would have kept doing, like, we wouldn't have done like 73 episodes of a podcast about Anthem if we weren't already invested and at least committed to trying it out regardless of what happens tomorrow. So it's a very interesting point of view for us, the 4 of us, to speak from, at least in regard to that.
I'm
but
interested to see
that's
what
not
happens.
to say that we think that everything they do is going to be gold.
No.
No.
I mean, we're not. We're not those guys who
None
are
of
going
us
to be
are perfect, right? We're
I
not
mean,
gonna make mistakes.
right?
Yeah,
well,
like,
they've said they're going to make mistakes.
I don't think anybody.
They're going to learn from it. So.
I don't think any of us
this
are interested in wasting the last year of our life on something terrible. So, that wouldn't be great.
You have no idea what it's like to be an adult, JD.
Also, Mike, I'm Breaking Bad on Alterian and say they do care about what you think, and that's why they're here. So, hey, let's do something fun since we've been kind of pretty disappointed right now. Let's do something fun on the eve of the game releasing tomorrow. We made a very cool little custom-made card or playing card and dice holder that we put up on Twitter, and we put it up for a giveaway. So we're going to pick a winner of that now. And to do that, I'm going to do some Twitter magic, and I'm going to need a drum roll, and we're going to announce the winner of that very cool box.
It's going to be me.
So it's going to be me.
You'd be
so
surprised how often I win these things. We have to redo them.
I know. Someone give me a drum roll, please. Give me a drum roll. And the winner is... Okay, the winner is Chaos Prime 0 YT. Chaos Prime 0
Chaos
YT.
Congratulations.
So one thing about this giveaway, and I always forget this because I'm an idiot. Okay, shipping to outside of the United States is really expensive, so I usually try to say, "Oh, this one's for the U.S. only." This one I didn't. So wherever this is going, this is where it's going. I'm gonna have to pay for shipping, and hopefully this person.
Nice.
Oh, this person's in England. So
bonus.
That'll be fantastic. So congratulations, Chaos Prime YT, for living in England. So
Thanks,
that's very
Vanessa.
exciting. We're going to do a couple more of these. We have a couple more that we're going to do. I think they're a lot of fun. It looks like people really enjoy them. I mean, this is a custom made. You can't buy these anywhere. I can't sell them because EA would probably be pretty upset with me. I'm going to start my own microtransaction store with these things in them, and then everyone will be upset because they'll be associated with EA. So congratulations, and we'll get that shipped out to you, and we'll notify them after the show. So another thing that you can do, you can also call and leave us a message if you want to call in the show, you can leave a voice message. If you want to complain about not being able to play the game today, you can do that at 505-386-7917. And you can save that number into your phone in case you ever want to call it and say, hey, I had this idea for, this kind of quest. Or what do you guys think about?
Just so you know.
Yeah, what do you guys...
It is, you'll need a 1. You'll need a 1 in front of that.
I guess I always forget this. I just live in this tiny little state of New Mexico that, who calls anyone out of the state of New Mexico?
Get out more often, Stephen, right?
I should. So the number is 505-386-7917. And if you're, I don't know, you probably all the rates apply. So, or you can just email us at freelancercodex@gmail.com. That's easy. That's free. And you can have your emails read on the show also.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing, I don't know if you guys know this or not, Mike, Devon, and JD, but we just got a new boss for the podcast. So we have a Patreon set up, and BigFace88 subscribe to our Patreon. So now, right now, BigFace88 is our boss. So whatever he says is kind of what goes. So if he says, hey, you got to change your shirt, or hey, you got to comb your hair differently, since he's the boss, he could technically fire us and stop paying us.
Man.
And then where would we be, right? Where would we? So.
I do want you to know, Steve, and I'm sure you knew this already, but New Mexico is ranked number 5 in size of state in the United States.
I did not know that.
Not population, but
just land.
Just geographically.
Square miles.
That's why it takes so long to get out of New Mexico. That's why. It takes forever.
It really does.
If you go left, you go right. I mean, it takes forever to get
New
out.
Mexico in 45 minutes from where we live.
I guess we just live right by the border, so it's not that hard.
So just wanted you to know that because we are quite a big state. That's all.
Okay. I'm wondering why you wanted me to know that.
Well, because you said it was a small state. I mean, it's not a small state.
I mean, compared to something like Argentina, it's pretty small.
Like figuratively.
Compared to Argentina, well, yeah, because Argentina is small.
Yeah. So do you guys want to? Let's cover a little. Let's get back on track here, and let's talk about the live stream. I mean, so Ben and Chad. Chad is actually from the live service team over all of EA.
I feel bad.
So cover. It wasn't the best stream. I think Chad was a little bit nervous. It's really different playing a game and trying to talk while people are watching you, and it brings in a different element that if you're not used to doing that, it can really throw you off. And I think Chad was. It wasn't like he was doing bad. I mean, the stream wasn't there to show like amazing gameplay, right? So I don't know why they took the controller from Chad. I'm like, what? Like, let the guy have the controller. It's not that big of a deal. We're talking about,
he's never played Storm or Colossus before.
Well, I haven't either. So I don't fault the guy at all. It's like, you shouldn't be playing the Colossus anyway. Yeah. So a couple things that they talked about the thousands of changes that they've made, the thousands of updates. Some of those are going to be live tomorrow. Not all of them are going to be live tomorrow. There's going to be another patch on the 22nd. Where everything is going to go live. So they did a lot of quality of life changes. They showed off sprinting inside of Fort Tarsis. So that's going to be there. So everyone can, calm down about the walking speed in Fort Tarsis because we know you're going to be able to sprint there. They also talked about SLI support is going to be there after launch. So if you have a rig that's got dual GPUs, that's going to be accessible later, not right away. And then other big things
buy
that they
another GPU.
time to spend more money because you didn't spend it now already. And Bacon Brad says, "Don't you dare badmouth the Colossus." I will badmouth the Colossus. The Colossus is big and it's slow and it's not as cool as the Storm. So I mean, other than
Steven, you pronounced Ranger wrong.
oh, sorry. It's not as cool as the it really isn't as cool as the Ranger, but the Storm is
Hey, they've
cooler than the
updated
Ranger.
it,
So
right? So you have to try it again, and then
I will update it. So they updated controls. They updated swimming in the water. They updated a lot of the stuff. If you're using mouse and keyboard, that's supposed to be a lot better. Other than that, I mean, there's little tidbits of information, but this is all stuff that we're going to be able to try out tomorrow and actually feel for ourselves. So like reporting on, the acceleration speed, I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'll try it tomorrow and we'll see how it feels. But I mean, I guess it was a very weird stream. I don't know if we need to spend too much time on it. I mean, did you guys even get to watch the whole thing, or did you guys just peace out once they told you that you're not going to be able to play today?
No,
well, that would have been super early.
I left after they did that. I was like, I can't watch this, unfortunately. I was just so, like, blah, frustrated.
Yeah.
So I just had to, like, take a breather, and I was like, I can't listen to you guys right now. And honestly, they should have saved that for the end. I mean, they started off the live stream on, like, a bad note. So put them already on bad footing right from the beginnings.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it would be better for them just to drop that information at the end of the live stream?
Yeah,
That would be me. It's like,
I mean,
they should have just been like, okay, we need also to end. We're just going to address something. There was some confusion. They could have handled it better. Like there's confusion of when the early access is going live. It's actually going live on Friday the 15th at 9 a.m. Central, and whatever time zone you're in is going to reflect that. And then just say Origin had a different time and it was a mistake, but they just kind of, when does it come out? 9 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. And then
I thought that was an interesting way to say it. Because it wasn't really like, hey guys, we're sorry this happened. It was like, there's confusion out there. This is actually the time. It's like, how can there be confusion? This is the only time we've heard. But I also don't think you say it at the end and you're like, all right, peace out later, guys, because that kind of leaves a weird taste. But now we're retreading the same information. The Colossus is not cool, and the time has changed, and that sucks. So we had something very cool drop today. We had the Anthem story by Neil Blomkamp called Conviction. It's a live action trailer to a movie, I think, that they dropped today that we got to show off. It's about 3.5 minutes long, live action. If you don't know, Neil Blomkamp was the director of movies like District 9, Elysium. Oh shoot, there's one more. Oh, Chappie. I think Chappie is the other one that he directed.
Yeah.
So
he also did some Halo 3 stuff.
He did Landfall, correct? Halo 3 Landfall. I think that's what he did.
He did do Halo Landfall.
Live action commercial stuff.
He did. I'm on the IMDb right now. He did a lot of stuff.
So he has his own studio. I think it's called. What's it called? It's Oats. It's Oats Studio, and he's done a lot of cool short stories. I mean, it's very much blending CGI with practical effects, and he does it very, very well. A lot of really cool stuff coming out from him. I mean,
use Unity game engine to do all that.
Yeah,
it looked really good.
And he really reminds me of Guillermo del Toro's style of directing, and just like the visionaries that those guys are. Being able to picture some like the weirdest things and actually develop them and bring them to film. So really cool stuff. Mike, your initial impressions from Conviction?
I enjoyed it a lot. I was bummed when there wasn't like a in theaters June 29th. You know what I mean? Like I thought this is exactly. I thought this is really cool. I read a little bit more about it, what it was. So it happens. I watched it on YouTube. It said that in the comments, it says that it happened decades before the story of Anthem happens.
I think
So it
50
was
years, right?
50 years. Well, it's 5 decades. I mean,
I'm just
semantics.
being specific.
Okay.
You go.
It looked really good. I liked the music. The characters were interesting. I liked the way that the lady was telling the kid the story, and kind of giving us some history. The ranger grabbing the storm mid-flight was cool. Like, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's pretty sweet.
It's in 4K also, so it's pretty.
That was a big selling point for me. I said to myself, if this isn't in 4K, I'm not going to watch this. But it's a good thing that it was, because then I got to watch it.
I mean, that's what I'm always concerned about.
That's what I always look for. I don't touch any trailers that aren't 4K.
Like, what is this trash? Get it off my screen.
What is this? Get this off of my computer screen.
No,
I enjoyed it.
right.
I enjoyed it a lot. It was really cool. Go check it out. I hope there's more. There is going to be more. So I'm excited to see it. It's cool.
JD, initial impressions?
I thought it was absolutely awesome. Like the way how the javelins looked in action in the short film trailer, they looked incredible. I basically I had a lot of the same reactions that a lot of people did, which is basically like as soon as I found out that like this had no indication that this was immediately going anywhere, I was supremely disappointed. Like I want this to be like a short series or like an actual like short movie, because I would pay to see this. It looked really good. I'm very interested because it seems like we just hit all the high points of that story. Like if it was like a full hour and a half movie or a 2-hour movie, like it hit all the points that we would have hit in the trailer, but without giving any like spoilers, I guess, for like some of the finer points, like, oh, who is the girl? Oh, why are these guys fighting? I loved it. I want to see more of it. Hopefully we get it.
Yeah, I mean,
Devon,
they did
do you
film more, right? So they filmed 10 minutes worth. And if you look into the stuff, it's online about how much, he wrote them 2 10-minute scripts, and then they had to narrow it down, and then they're like, it's only 3.5 minutes, and he's like, we have to shoot extra because we don't know what's going to get cut. And so I believe they shot like 10 minutes worth of stuff, and then they cut it down into that basically super sample of 3.5 minutes. And they even said, if people like it, we'll make an extended trailer or make an extended version of it. And because that's what they do. He's all about that, and he's able to do that really quickly. But I thought it was really good. There's a lot of things, just like we've talked about in Halo in the past, like this is easily can go into a series and could be made into a movie. And there's so much potential for Anthem, for the IP, that they're just like, just fund it, all right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's got to be way more than 10 minutes that they actually shot. Because if you look at the costumes that they built, I mean, a lot of this stuff was practical effects. I mean, they were filming in Spain. They were filming in Hawaii. I don't think you spend all that money, or you get all that money from EA or whoever funded. I don't know if it's like money from BioWare or if it's money from EA marketing, to only film 10 minutes of these things, to have those javelins that looked amazing. Like, I don't know how much of that was practical, how much of that was, done with computers at the end, because it's blend. It blends so seamlessly that it's hard to see it. But one of the things when IMDb put up 2 new names back in November up on their page, like I started researching who these people were. And so Bozen Hadawi was actually listed as Trey on IMDb. So I looked him up online, and I was able to find him on Facebook, and I reached out to him and started talking to him. And at first I was like, I don't even know if this is the real guy or not, because that's kind of weird that they, were pretty open in talking to me. So I got to talking to him on Facebook, and he sent me pictures of the shoot, him standing by some of the guys dressed up in black. And Bozen is actually the person that the monitor stands over and grabs his head and looks like it's starting to read his memories or suck something out of his brain. So that's the actor that I was talking to. And he was saying that they've actually filmed this a long time ago. So it's been in production for a long time. And hopefully there's more to come. I mean, as I was watching this and I knew, okay, there's a short coming out, I was waiting for okay, this is where the story of the short starts. Okay. After each scene goes by, you're like, okay, so is this the story where it starts?
Yeah.
No. It's like, okay, this is actually just a trailer. But then it gives you the feeling of like, okay, it's the trailer for what though? Because they keep telling us, this thing's coming out. It's going to be amazing. It's like, but it's just a trailer. We need more. And I think that's the purpose that Neil was going for. It's like, look, I'm going to leave everyone wanting more, that they're just going to have to force me to make this movie because everyone wants it done. I mean, right now, you could probably go on Kickstarter, right? And let's kickstart this thing.
Yeah.
Let's put up a page.
Yeah.
Let's throw all the money at it. I mean, let's get this thing made.
I'll put $100 towards it.
I mean, so this is something that your Anthem William pointed out. But this money, well, the budget, the money that they got for the budget for this film probably came from EA's like marketing budget for this game, which is like why they only have like even in the statements that he gave to Entertainment Weekly, he says that they only really had enough like budget for like 3 minutes of like film or anything like that, and which like why his like 10-minute script like made people like very like, okay, why are you doing this? I think if there's a huge enough demand, like there's a very good chance that something could happen after this, because this wouldn't be the first time that EA has done like cross promotional, like especially visual media. Like I think they did like an anime for Mass Effect, they did another anime for Dragon Age, they did like multiple films for Dead Space, and then let's not forget that weird Dante's Inferno one.
I never do. That's the last thing I think about when my head hits the pillow. Remember Dante's Inferno? Wasn't that a Pierce Brosnan movie?
Yes, it was a Pierce Brosnan movie. There were people boiling alive in hot springs. That's exactly what it was.
Isn't that what that was?
That's
anyway.
that's a different. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have been just plagued with so much time on my hands.
I'm not okay.
And
Just wait.
can't.
No, wait. Just hold on. Just hold on. I have another point before you go. If all the marketing was made, all the money went here to get this thing made, do you think it actually does a good job selling the game? Yes or no?
I think it does a good job of selling
a movie.
the IP.
Yeah, I think it did a better job of selling the
interest.
series.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like the game has to live up to that trailer, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, because we have a little bit of the story, and the trailer is really good, and it's like, okay, will the game live up to this? Has nothing to do with the short that they put out, because it happened a long time ago. But hopefully there's some tie-ins with information there, from the past, and hopefully BioWare can do what they do best and give us a great story, and we're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
And I think one of the coolest thing that it does, like the visuals that Conviction portrays, like action happening inside the fort, which is something that I don't think we ever thought would happen in the game, because if you're the only person in the fort, you're not in your javelin, you assume that during the critical path, that kind of action doesn't happen there. But seeing that on screen, it makes it feel like, okay, this place is actually lived in. So seeing whatever the lady's name with the blue thing all over her head on the top, like it definitely gives you more of a sense that this is more of like a fantasy universe, like fantasy sci-fi, which I really, really like. So those were the points I wanted to make. I mean, I hope this generates a lot of buzz and gets the movie made. I'd rather just get the movie made, because that's really what I want to see, because I think that'd be awesome. Okay.
Yeah. EA, BioWare, do it.
Yeah, like Mike was saying, if you have lots of time, or even if you don't have a lot of time, but you enjoy reading and you can't
You're
ever
not going to let me do this?
No, you go for it.
I
go.
prep for this, and you're not going to let me do this?
Oh, you prep? Go. Hey, Mike. Mike, do you ever find yourself with a lot of time on your hands?
Steven, I find myself with an inordinate amount of time on my hands. I'd appreciate it if you stopped laughing in the background. But you know what?
Don't like this.
One of the things that I like to do when I have time on my hands, because although I have time on my hands, I usually have kids in my hands also, playing with my kiddos. and doing things with them, and so my hands aren't free to turn the pages of a book. So what I like to do is I like to listen on Audible.
Oh, there's the point of what he was saying.
I like to listen on Audible, and through Freelancer Codex at audibletrial.com/freelancercodex, you can get a free 30-day trial when you sign up. With over 1,800
Numbers are hard.
180.
This is why we don't know when the game releases. We can't even do numbers.
With 180,
This was the confusion.
I'm working here.
Rusty said it was a long journey.
Audible books to choose from.
Oh.
The possibilities are endless. There's tons of stuff out there. There's a book called Spellmonger, written by Terry Moncourt, narrated by John Lee.
I actually just had that book. This is a book in about a very long series. I think there's about 10 books planned right now. I think 7 are out. This is actually book 1. It's a great fantasy book. It's not high fantasy, but it's a great take on the fantasy genre.
It's low fantasy.
Yeah, it's like medium fantasy.
So there's
a
stockbroker who walks to work and he just like dreams of one day where he can bike to work. So it's like low fantasy.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So it's written by Terry Moncourt, narrated by John Lee. It's a really fun read. I recommend it. I hope everyone goes out and checks it out. And like Mike said, audibletrial.com/freelancercodex. It actually helps out the show. You don't have to keep the subscription if you want to cancel it. After you get your free credit, you can do that, but you get to keep the book forever. So it's really a win-win for us and a win-win for you. So I guess that's a win-win-win-win. So audibletrial.com/freelancercodex.
Winning.
But the most important win is, when does the game go live?
Tomorrow morning.
Nice segue.
In less than
I have a
12
segue.
hours.
Paul Blart taught me. Steve, don't we have a new segment that we are trying out now?
We do have a new segment, guys. We got a lot of emails because I told people, you better email into the show or else we're not going to have a show. And they did. So we got a bunch of emails and we're going to read them. And we got to come up with a name for like when we get your emails. How about we just call it the What's Your Name segment? And we'll have Nick Terabay lead us in and then we'll read some emails. So Nick, take it away.
What's your name, darling?
Savannah.
Samantha, go for it.
Our first email is from Judd Howdyshell. And it reads, "Hello, freelancers. This is your favorite storm operator, Judy Cud, reporting in." I had to look at the names to make sure they were close. "My question is based on the content release roadmap." We've also this picture. "It was noted that March's content release includes guilds. What specifically would you like to see BioWare make available for guilds? Any specific perks? A customizable guild social area? For me, the inclusion of guilds would only be important if there was some reason to actually be in a guild." Devon, quit interrupting. "Otherwise, if it is just to have a guild, I hate reading. This is why I use Audible, so that the books can be read to me. Because when I can't read, I need audible.com. Remember, that's audibletrial.com/freelancercodex. For me, this inclusion of guilds would only be important if there was some reason to actually be in a guild. Otherwise, if it is just to have a guild tag beside my username, then it seems like a wasted opportunity. Thanks for your time. Judy Cud, a.k.a. Judd, House of Cud."
He's got a lot of titles.
He does have a lot of titles. He must be in a Game of Thrones.
Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains.
All right.
Nice.
We know. JD, what do you think? What do you think about guilds?
Oh, well, I mean, like, first thing I'd like to see, at the very least, some guild emblems that you can put on top of any vinyls or customization that you have, like something that doesn't interrupt or necessarily disrupt the general look that you're going for. I know some people like to do the whole guild, like, uniform colors thing. I've never really liked that too much. I believe in individuality. The other thing is, she mentions it in, or he. I don't know. He? Okay. He mentions it in
It's on the Discord, JD.
Customize it.
More often.
I try to. The customizable guild social area, I am very much a fan of those. Warframe has some pretty cool clan dojos, and I think if Anthem was able to replicate some of that, or even make something similar to that, that would be great. Because at least in Warframe, it's not just a social area. There's actual purpose to it. Like it's a place where everybody in the guild can like donate and like accumulate resources together that the guild can then use to develop items unique to the guild. Not super unique, but like it's only available to people who have guilds with a certain amount of members and standing and resources that make things not necessarily easier, but like you get access to some higher tier weapons and that sort of thing by being in part of a larger group. So I think if they did something like that, that'd be wicked cool.
Wicked awesome.
So I think I was thinking about guilds, and like if you do a guild system that rewards larger guilds, like I guess I've never liked that system, because if you can't get into a larger guild, or if you don't have a large player or a group of friends that you play with, then you kind of are just never going to get those high tier perks.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the best answer to this system is, because when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, it'd be cool to have a banner, but then can you customize your banner? Like, do you get a bunch of preset icons to make your banner with? Because then you just have, here's a dragon and here's some bars, and now you can, like, I guess that's cool, but then it's not. I mean, then it's not really your banner, I guess. But then where do you hang that? Do you hang it in the fort when you're in the fort? Do you hang it from your strider? Do you hang it like where? I guess I don't know what the purpose of the guild would be.
I think the purpose of the guild is just to have people you can play with. That's what it sounded like to me from what they were talking about, like just having a large group of people that you can log on and be like, oh, who's online from the guild, and we can play. It's kind of like in Halo 5 they had the Spartan teams or whatever, where you have like 100 people, send invites to people in your guild or whatever.
So it's just a friends list.
And it's worth clarification that in like things like Warframe, it's not that like you can't access things unless you have a guild this size. It's just a matter of you just are able to accumulate the resources faster because you have more people. But the whole thing is that the development time of these items is still the same. It's like 3 days for most of the items. I know because I don't really play Warframe with other people. I play it by myself. I have a dojo all by myself, and I've accumulated the same amount of resources as any other clan just on my own.
Dojo. Okay.
Yeah. So when I think of a guild, though, I think of people that you actually know, people that you play with. When you get to a certain amount of people who are like, well, I don't even know everyone in this guild. Is that something that matters, or something that shouldn't matter? It doesn't matter if you don't know this guild member. You're in the same guild, so you can go do missions together. I mean, at what point
personal preference at that point?
At what point are you just joining a guild just to join a guild and get perks, though? I mean, there has to be something different there that actually makes it worth it to you, other than, if I join this guild, I'm going to get more coins because a bunch of people are playing here. Or I could go join this guild with my 4 friends. We don't play as much. We don't put in as many hours. But there has to be a benefit for a small 4-person guild and like a 100-person guild. Or else it just seems like when you did it in Halo 5, you could join a 100-person guild, and depending on how everyone did, you got like a super high tier reward that no one else is ever going to be able to get if they were in a small guild. It just wasn't going to happen. I forget what it even was. It was like some piece of armor. Yeah. I think that you could get. So what incentive do you make it to where you're like, I want to be in a guild, and it doesn't matter what size of guild it is?
I think it's just really. I mean, I don't know what they're going to put in there, but it basically just sounded like a larger friends list that you can have, an expanded friends list of not just the regular people you play with. And for me, I enjoyed having that because it was like, okay, I'm online, nobody else is online yet, that of my normal friends. So I would just look, in the clan system, normal. If you can see me, I'm making air quotes, or normal.
I just have all these abnormal friends.
Yeah, my non-normal everyday friends. Where it's just like, we're part of the same clan or guild or whatever. And so like, send out invites, and then we would send messages. we're going to try and do these things on this days. If you want to play, jump on in and we'll get everybody grouped together and we're all focused on the same things, So if they have, maybe with the weeklies and the monthlies, it's like, hey, we're, where you could send out messages to your guild and say, on these days, we're going to gather together. If you guys want to jump in, we're all going to work on these, objectives. And maybe they have guild objectives, that you can do and get customizable, gear or different things, vanity
That would make
items.
sense, at least. That would be something to go for together as a group.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, you got to kill 1 million grabbits. And that would suck, of course, because it'd take forever. But
well, and then you're killing grabbits. But
Yeah, who cares?
but collecting resources.
Yeah.
I mean, collecting resources, shooting Scar.
so many missions, so many strongholds,
Yeah.
those kind of things. I didn't
With
really,
at least one member of the guild. I mean,
I
so
didn't like
it could be
Destiny
done.
2, where they were just like, it rewarded everybody for just doing one thing. I mean, that was all right, but then it just never gave you any incentive to try and do those things. So I think if they have like guild, challenges, they need to be something that's going to take a little bit of time and not going to be done right away. So that even if you're a small guild, you can still work towards it, but maybe don't make it so insurmountable that you just give up if you're a small guild.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be an easy way to request. Like, if you see someone out in the area and they've got a guild tag, you need to be able to go up to them, view their character, and like be able to access information about their guild while you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're like, oh, look, there's a person from a cool looking guild name. I want to be able to talk to them and figure out how I can join that. And if you can't do that in game, I think it kind of gets. It's like, okay, now I have to go online. I have to search for this guild online. Are they on Facebook or, where are they at?
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
already
they
too
need-
many steps.
Right. It needs to be easily accessible from in the game. I don't know how you do that though. Or because then you have people
There has
like,
to be
oh,
there has to be an inspect player option, and I bet, because I don't believe that's coming at launch, but it's got to be something that's coming.
Yeah.
So I would assume that we could look for that, especially as guilds get bigger and that mechanic gets more ironed out and more finalized. There has to be an inspect option. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you can have, with leaderboards, maybe they have guild leaderboards, as well. Or it's like, hey, we're going to make a run at the leaderboards. Who wants to team up this week, and try and work on these strongholds or whatever that they're doing. And just fun little things that you can do. If you have a guild, you can send messages out to your members. Just be like, hey, this is what we're going to try and do. And just, it's going to be, I think in the beginning at least, it's going to be a lot of create your own activity type thing, is my guess. So,
yeah.
we're down for
Well,
that.
thank you, Judy, for the email. We really appreciate it. Devin, will you take this next one, please?
I would, but I have to open the page.
oh my gosh.
Hey,
You have to open up the page. You want me to take it?
Yeah,
I can take.
you go ahead.
I mean,
Okay,
I
this
can
one
I
is
can
from-
also take it.
You got the last one there, JD. You get the page ready for the last one. So Doka says, hey guys, when Anthem becomes a huge hit, I like the positivity here. When Anthem becomes a huge hit, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out in less than 12 hours if it's a big hit or not. So
Oh my
or-
goodness gracious, less than 12 hours.
I know.
I got to brush my
maybe-
teeth.
Go do it. Maybe it will open up the door for other great PvE co-op games with an ever-growing story that isn't complicated with PvP balancing. What do you... So this is an interesting question. Is Anthem going to be successful enough that it's going to spawn clones or copycats of itself? This is kind of an interesting question. I was thinking of this because we already have some games out here. Like we think about Division, we think about Destiny. Those are looter shooters. We think about Diablo, Borderlands. I think I don't know if we can fully compare those because they all kind of have a PvP aspect. I mean, Borderlands and Diablo don't. They're probably closest to what Anthem is going to be, but I don't know if just having like a PvE co-op game is really something that's so widely different, like a battle royale, or that it's going to spawn copycats up from it. I mean, I guess I don't think that there's going to be a huge rush of people to say, all right, we're ditching PvP. We're going to go full multiplayer, critical path, live service games, and we're going to develop from there. I mean, I don't see a lot of games just stepping up to the plate and trying to do that.
I just look to
If-
Anthem being that great game, that great PvE co-op game with an ever-growing story that isn't complicated with PvP balancing. Like let Anthem just grow and be that game that we all want it to be. I'm sold on the idea of javelins and exosuits, because then when something else comes around, they're gonna have to do a twist or a spin on that, and I'm like, like how close? Because you don't want games that are exactly alike, right? So then how do you just let Anthem be that ever changing, growing story game? That's what I'll say.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the thing that's got, well, when I was thinking about this email earlier today, when I was filling out our little show notes and stuff, was the fact that, so when video games as a medium first popped up, there wasn't a lot of story. Was like, we didn't really have like much story going on in things like some of the really old games, like Super Mario. Like, there was a story, but it wasn't like to the level there is now. And I think we're seeing story get attached to multiplayer as well. And so I kind of hope that Anthem is the beginning of, like, it shows that you can attach a well-written narrative to a multiplayer game that isn't something like an MMO, and I think that, especially like for BioWare games moving forward, especially like something like the next Dragon Age, where they've said that it's still going to have a single player experience. There are going to be live service elements to it. However, like in a game like that, where it's also going to have multiplayer as well, considering that the last title in the series had multiplayer. Like, imagine if you got both games. Like, you got a strong single player experience that you can enjoy on your own, that takes place in one part of the world, like in that narrative, and then you have a strong multiplayer experience, like PvE, not necessarily PvP, something just like Anthem, where it just takes place in a different part of the world with different characters. Like, it's like they're in the same narrative setting, but like in two different areas, and you can have both a strong narrative experience in single player and multiplayer, and replayability is just basically up to like which one you prefer more. I mean,
well, I don't know if there's that much of a distinction between the single player and multiplayer in Anthem, because really, like, single player, you can play it alone, or people can jump in there with you. Like, I guess I don't see the game.
well,
as
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that for future titles, like, we're talking about the effect that Anthem could have on other titles in the future, with something like Dragon Age, where the multiplayer and the single player were distinct. Like, I could see something like that happening. I'm not saying that it's distinct in Anthem. I'm just saying that if we prove you can have a strong PvE multiplayer experience, that it could bleed over into other franchises, other titles, especially BioWare, because BioWare loves to reuse old assets wherever they can.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I don't know if Anthem has like made such a distinction in its genre that it's different from everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that PUBG came out, they made Battle Royale super popular, then Fortnite came in, then Apex came in. I mean, you can say that, these games are Battle Royales. Like, if you look at Anthem, I mean, we still put it into the looter shooter category, right? Like Division, like Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what makes it different enough that other things can be spawned from it, I guess, is what I'm thinking. And you're right, it could be that, the story will still continue, because in like Destiny Division, like, those stories stop until new expansions come out. But I mean, maybe it's just a different way of them doing post-release content. Maybe that's the thing that people will catch on to, that, hey, we can't do like a Destiny release schedule. We have to do something more like Anthem, to where it's monthly. We're updating story more constantly. I mean, maybe that's the thing that is going to change for the shooter looters, and that's what Anthem's going to bring to it. Because otherwise, we're just, I guess that's the only difference I see right now in Anthem compared to other looter shooters, is that the way that they're going to release content in the future.
Well, I think it kind of comes back to some of the stuff that they were talking about at the PAX panel, which was the our world, your story, or our world, my story, whichever how you want to say it.
Right.
But I think the thing that kind of sets Anthem apart is that they're attempting to do something that other multiplayer games have kind of tried but never really succeeded at, which is basically making a series or making a multiplayer experience that responds not only to individual player choices but player choices as a crowd. And like the whole thing is that, like, I believe they said in the PAX panel that like some of the choices of the player base would affect the world, but the only ones that affect like your story are the ones you make in Fort Tarsus. So I think like the whole thing is that like bringing, I consider it a little bit innovative in the fact that they're bringing their innovative BioWare storytelling to a multiplayer thing, which is they've had multiplayer in BioWare games before. They've just never combined the two. And I don't know if that's going to make a huge industry-wide change. It probably won't, not in the same way of like Battle Royale. But I do feel that it will make at least a small change just in the way how BioWare makes games in the future. You know?
Yep. I think they're going to learn a lot from this and carry it forward. Devon, you have any quick comments on this before we move on to our last email?
No. I think it's all
right.
been said. So.
Very good. JD, will you take this last email from Maxime?
Yes. So it
He's
says...
French.
I mean, do you want me to do a French accent and potentially
not really.
anger our listener?
No.
Okay. Good afternoon, dear Freelancer Codex crew. It's been a while, but we're finally here, nearing the launch of Anthem. I've been following the podcast since November 2018, so I'm still new around, but so far I've enjoyed all your debates about our beloved game. As food for thought, I have a few questions in case you already answered them in previous podcasts. Because I haven't listened to all of them, please forgive me for this offense. Oh, it's
not forgiven.
Oh, we are merciful. Following the release of Neil Blomkamp's live-action trailer, short film, whatever, let's be honest, it looks more to a very high-quality trailer than anything else. What are your expectations for third-party produced content for Anthem aside from the already announced comics? It can be books, a web TV series, a full movie. And if yes, on what should it be about? We got another live stream yesterday. Any quality of life change compared to...
Let's answer that question first, and then we'll go on, because he's got a couple questions here. So we'll answer this first one first. We'll let Devon go. What his thoughts are on third-party content, I guess, coming out from Anthem.
Yeah, I think they could definitely have a lot more of that content. I mean, they have the comics coming out right soon-ish, and yeah, I mean, I think the IP, like we've talked about, has a lot of potential and a lot of places it can go. If they just spend the money and have a whole department focused on this stuff, they could make books, they could make movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff.
And I think the trailer that we saw earlier today is kind of like a proof of concept that it can be done really well, and that people will want it. So let's get this Kickstarter rolling. So I think what the story I want to know most about is the Helena of Tarsus story. When the people were subjugated, when the Urgoth were keeping the humans down, whoever those people are, and whatever that conflict is, I would like to know more about that story. I'm sure we're going to get more of that tomorrow as we go through the critical path. We'll probably learn more about the Legion of Dawn, but I would really like to focus on that era because it's set 500 years in the past. That it's not really going to affect our story, but knowing more about it, I think, would be really interesting.
Wait, 50, right? Or is that the comic that's 500?
No, so Helena of Tarsus, they founded Fort Tarsus 500 years before the game starts. The trailer that we got today was 50 years from when the game starts. So they're a little bit in the past from what we saw today. Mike, do you have anything that you would like to see? Any media that you would like worked on?
Just expansion on the stuff that we've seen. Like I said, I don't read a whole lot, so if the comics can come to Audible, you can check that out at audibletrial.com/freelancer codex. But I like the visual medium. It could be fun, and I'm a really good extra. I could make a frightened face, So
are you auditioning right now? Is that what that was?
That's what that was. That was my frightened face. So
that was his audition reel.
If you need me, you got me. But I like the visual medium. I think that could be fun. I would watch I think I would watch an Anthem themed movie. So
You think you would? I would buy out a whole theater and invite people to come watch it. You could be there. All right, JD, what's the next question here from Maxime?
We got another live stream yesterday. Any quality of life change compared to the demo you're excited about? I like the Michael Bay denial slider, aka screen shaking slider. Thank you for that joke. Personally, this way Devon will not make me feel like my monitor is about to tear itself apart the next time we happen to play together.
Now, is he referring to his computer monitor or like the monitor?
No, it's computer monitor when we were playing on PC, and we were just jumping through different characters once they unlocked that for us in the VIP demo. And yeah, I mean, like he would be run right into battle, and I would just unload the ultimate right there where he was standing. And I was like, incoming! And it just, because even it shakes my screen, but I'm like, whatever, I don't care, it's cool. So.
Nice.
But
I think the one thing I'm
excited.
I think the one quality of life change I'm excited for, and I haven't seen yet, is the swimming. Because I was playing on PC, but I was using a controller, so I didn't have a lot of the controlling mouse and keyboard issues that everyone else had.
Mm-hmm.
I just plugged in my Xbox One controller and it works. So you can do that, and it's super simple. So I'm excited for that, being able to swim underwater without getting sick. That's what I'm most excited about.
I was just fine.
JD,
I swam just fine.
JD,
Nice.
do you have quality of life improvements from the Xbox that you're going to be bringing over?
I mean, really, you handled it with the swimming. Swimming wasn't great in the demo. I'm looking forward to it. And I've been looking forward to the underwater aspects of the game for a while. So I was a little disappointed that the swimming didn't exactly feel the way it should. So I'm looking forward to how that is now.
Right on. So last question from Maxime.
If there were to be melee weapons added to the arsenal post-launch, which are the ones you would like to see the most in the game? You can give the Colossus the big Morgenstern so he can smack people in the face. Granted, he already does that.
Don't everybody answer at once.
I'll answer. I'll go first. So one thing that I would like to see. So I'm not going to say swords because that's obvious. Everyone, we need to have swords in there. But I think it'd be really cool if the Colossus actually had a smaller shield and had bucklers, like a left and a right buckler that he could bring together when he puts up the shield, and he can use those to smash people. And then
That's
you
a
can
neat
just have
idea.
really cool designed double bucklers, one on the left and one on the right side. So yeah, it could be like big old giant brass knuckles, like Dropkick Hoonigan says in the chat. So I think that would be really cool, and they could be visually different and distinctive, so that like, hey man, check out these shields I got. Because if we cannot change the shape of the Colossus shield, I'm going to be super disappointed. I mean, there's got to be like something in there, like some cosmetic that we can buy or
Not at
purchase
launch.
that's going to change the shape.
Yeah.
And even if it's not at launch, it's got to come out in the future, because you can't just have that shape the whole time. You've got to be able to change up the way that thing looks. That's
Right.
Yeah.
So those are my suggestions.
Personally, for me, I love a good old-fashioned battle axe. I feel like that would be very appropriate for something like the Colossus, if we were to have any kind of melee for that. I think it could also work for a ranger. Maybe not like a great axe, but more like just a normal like blade on one side battle axe. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely agree on the shield comment though.
I'd go with different elemental maces. Again, I'm gonna main the ranger, so give me one of each of the elements, to be able to tweak my loadout just that much more. It comes with a shock mace, and so a fire mace and a poison mace. Although that could get dicey if you equip it. Are you constantly being poisoned? Interesting.
The real questions.
But
So-
I mean, but I would like something like that. I would like something simple.
So Alterian X in the chat suggests Size or Tonfa for the Interceptor, and
that'd be
Chakram
cool.
for the Storm. So I think
That'd be
these
cool.
are the ideas that are going to continue funding the game in the future, right?
Yep.
These are the things that we're going to spend money on. So if they want to make the money, they got to start putting these things in here because there's only so many times we're going to buy. Well, we don't even know what we're going to buy. We don't know if we're going to have to buy
gonna
like
be a lot of things
diamond
I'm gonna buy
plate
tomorrow.
textures on there.
Yeah,
So
we know
you
that.
buy all the things. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what the monetization system is in the game. I'm excited to go in and see. Mike Gamble said that they're going to give a bunch of people gold at the beginning. He says, play around for a bit. Don't go spending all your coins all at once. So he says, play the game, find out what you like, and then go into the store. So
Yeah,
Rusty said
Devon.
he's got his credit card ready.
I don't know, man.
Credit card ready.
Yeah,
credit
so-
card ready. Can you zoom in and see those numbers
As
on your
far
card? Can you turn
as
it
what
over?
I would like to see, you moved on without me.
What would
I
you
just
like to
figured
see,
you didn't want
Devin?
to see anything. Yeah.
Devon, what would you like
What
to
would you
see?
like to see?
So I think tomahawks would work great.
And that's the end of our segment
For-
today. We appreciate
Welcome,
everybody for coming in with us.
You shut your mouth when you talk to me like that.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's a shaper storm coming.
Yeah, cataclysms on the horizon. No, I think tomahawks would work great. Obviously, because I'm going to main the interceptor, so their melee weapons have to be a little bit differently. They can't be as large of a melee weapon because it needs to be fast.
Says
and-
who?
Well, you don't want to double, dual weld axe or huge giant great sword.
Says who, Devin?
It says
and my
everybody.
You don't
who-
tell me what my interceptor wants.
I tell you what all interceptors want.
I mean, when you look at all those, like the Korean MMO games, I mean, they've got these massive swords, giant wings.
Yeah,
like
that's
no
just
one can
fake.
ever hold
Anthem's
two weapons. So
real,
I mean,
okay?
fair enough.
he
We're
is
like,
the Lorax, and he speaks for the intercept.
yeah, there's no microchips.
No, I
but
think
we
I
can
think
do
it'd be
this.
I think it'd be fine. I mean, we've seen it a lot. Where they have huge great swords and they're just spinning around and going crazy and doing that stuff, and it would work fine. I just would prefer to see smaller stuff, and even where like right now the blades just appear out of nowhere, and so I would love if they would actually And I don't have the thing toggled to show the gun, turn off the weapons, but I
Oh,
would
I
like
do.
I would
do
like
too.
it to be able to see like the blades on the legs or somewhere where like you actually grab them before, not just magically blades in my hand. And
They're
I'm
not just there all of a sudden.
Well, magazines just magically appear out of our backs, so there's that.
Hammerverse.
So,
Rusty says he's gonna
But
buy
anyway.
it all. So
well,
Buy it
let me,
oh, you
uh,
should buy it all.
Well, then,
So,
then
This-
by all
they did have
mine
a
too.
send off.
Then.
No,
They did have a send off here.
We do have. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, it says, hopefully I'll see you guys in the game by the end of February. Shout out to Kags. Is it Phaedron or Phaedron?
Phaedron, Fudrin.
Phaedron?
I'm gonna call him Fudrin from now on.
I don't call him Phaedron.
Tomorrow, hey,
and you'll like
Fudrin.
it.
You won't be able to
And-
call him anything because he'll be talking the whole time. Phaedron.
And everyone else from your local French bug boy. Bug Squad represent. Cheers. Sir, try to pronounce it correctly. I dare you. Well, now I have to. It's Maxime Kanak?
No.
Nope.
No. Kanik?
No. Nope. Anyway, we'll
Both the
we'll
C's
go-
are
we'll-
silent. It's Anna.
Yeah. We'll go to French class later, but freelancers, we have enjoyed this time with you on episode 73 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the last episode before the game goes live. We've enjoyed most of it.
Less than 10 hours
and this,
from now.
I mean, this is it. Next episode, we'll have hands-on. We will probably
Did the path
try.
already, and
Most of us.
We will talk about. We'll do an overview next episode. We will not do spoilers until the back half of the show. We'll warn people before we dive into spoilers.
Don't watch the
And we'll
YouTube channel
probably
tomorrow.
Yeah, don't watch YouTube. Devin's gonna be streaming early. So I mean, this is it. It's finally here, and we're gonna find out if we spend a year covering a game that's gonna be awful. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you never know. Stranger things just
for
happen.
like almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it's almost been 2 years. Feels like a longer time.
Ha-
But guys,
Has
if
it?
you want to become our boss, you can always go to patreon.com/freelancercodex, and hey, chip in $1. For $1, you get 4 episodes. That's 25 cents for an hour and a half of commentary and just regular shenanigans from the
Sells
Freelancer
this
Codex.
for
So.
cheap.
I do. The show will always be free. If it puts you in any way out financially, don't do it. So it'll be free. We'll always be here for you to listen to and to yell at and say, man, those guys have some really stupid ideas. Because we kind of do sometimes. I mean, sometimes you give tomahawks to an interceptor. whatever. It's Devon's influencer, so he can do what he wants. So, guys, until next time, there is a Shaper Storm on the horizon, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Jealous of my tongue.
Peace.
Later.
I have a button that I gotta push.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter at Freelancer Codex, on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Join the Discord through the link provided at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free, but if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Stephen Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers, it's time to get to work.
All right, recording has stopped.